Welcome back, boys. In this episode, we're going to keep fixing up the Jag. We're going to take it for the first test drive, and we're going to get into some adventures.
Are you going to buy more wheels?
No, I don't know why I would ever do that.
Is it going to break again?
No, this is a classic Jaguar. That would never happen, Sarah.
Bet.
All right, if you guys haven't seen the previous video, I highly suggest you check that out before you watch this one. I'll put a link up here, but that's going to cover the importance of the XJ6 to the Jaguar history, as well as Sarah and I getting this thing running after it had been sitting for about 35 years. Now, what's really cool about this car in particular is that A, it's a rare color. This is pale primrose yellow. B, it has a limited slip. C, manual transmission swap. None of them came like that. They were all automatic. D, this has triple carbs as well as an intake from an E-Type, which gives it more power and better throttle response. And also, it's a freaking Cali car. This is the passport to service. Right here, you can see it says Charles H. Hornberg, Sunset Boulevard, Los Angeles, California. Now, I did some digging, and this is the oldest Jag dealership in the United States. The history of it's kind of interesting. Basically, there was this guy who was in marketing and advertising named Charles Hornberg Jr., and he decided that he didn't want to do that anymore. He wanted to sell cars instead. So in 1948, he went to the London Motor Show where he met Sir William Lyons. And apparently they hit it off, had a great time. And in just a few months, he had a contract to sell these cars exclusively in America, west of the Mississippi, with no competition. Now, what's important here is you got to remember Hornby was in marketing and advertising, so he knew how to sell things. So he opened up the first dealership on Sunset Boulevard and pretty much tried to sell it exclusively to celebrities. In fact, the first car delivered was to Clark Gable, this XK120 Roadster here. So he had the glamour, but he also wanted the sexiness of competition and motorsports. So he went racing. Now Jaguar was no stranger to competition. They had been racing for quite a while at that point, and they had actually won Le Mans in 1951. Hornby wanted in on this action because he knew that if he could establish it as a high-performance brand in America, it would help him sell even more cars. So he signed the infamous Phil Hill, the first American to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans and Formula One. And in 1952, Hill drove a C-Type Jag at Elkhart Lake / Road America and wound up winning. And what's really cool is to celebrate the victory, both Hornby and Hill drove the race car and a Roadster all the way from Wisconsin back to California to celebrate and show the dependability and awesome performance of these cars. All right, we're gonna get back into it now. In the last episode, the car was running, we had a coolant leak, and we're going to that now. So I've been chasing this coolant leak. It's not terminal news, but it sucks. So first off, this intake is like the hardest intake to install and remove ever because there's no access. On top of that, you can't even get like a ratchet on most of these because the material of the intake is in the way. And you can't really use a wrench either because the valve cover's in the way. So all of these nuts are super hard to get to. And what happened was I was having coolant coming out from under the intake manifold right about here. And I don't know if you can see this, but right there, see that thing moving? That like metal piece with a hole in it? Somehow there's another pipe and I got the tip of that hanger in between the gasket and the intake, just the tip. And it's compressing it in there and I can't pull the pipe out from under there. So I need to loosen the whole freaking intake just enough to get that out of there and then retighten it, which is probably gonna take me like 2 freaking hours. So that's what's wrong. Right, Sarah? Man, that sucked. I did get it done. We're gonna run it with that off for a second and then we'll probably add some more.
What do you think? Where it was peeing before is good. It's still splattering me from here. Look.
I want to talk about the front bumper overriders. Now this is a Series 1 XJ6, which is awesome because it's got the good bumpers and everything. However, this is a 1973 XJ6, so front end is still a Series 1 sheet metal, but it had these really, really ugly overriders. So we're going to see if we can remove those. And then I did import these. Now we're just gonna trim these things. You can see I marked it here, so we're not affecting the hinge point or the bumper mount. All right, here's the finished product. You can see that whole lower section is gone, and we just trimmed it at an angle to give some strength to that hinge point. Some of the hardware I pulled off those will actually thread right into this, but I do need to make this hole slightly bigger just so that I can fit this bolt through there. Eurolight, it's like subtle, but it makes such a big difference. Like suddenly the headlight fits the fender versus this stupid, ugly insert that looks like an infected eyeball. So I imported these buckets from England from a junk XJ6, and I am so happy.
I mean, it's like 1,000,000% better, but also like you're working within this. Like it's very okay.
And then I now it has the new bumper.
But 1,000,000% of like a very tiny number is still not that big a number.
No, this is a huge improvement.
I'm happy that you're happy. How about that?
Cool. All right, getting frustrated. Now the car won't start, and I just pulled the distributor cap off, and we have steamed my distributor cap with that last coolant leak because I didn't tighten one of these hoses. So hopefully I didn't roach anything. So we're just gonna dry it off and see what happens. Well, I haven't finished converting the other headlight yet. So we got the 7-inch on one side and the 5 on the other. But I think it's time for her maiden voyage. We're gonna go get some gas. I'm a little afraid, but it is driving, so let's see what happens. Running and it's moving.
You knock on wood, sir.
There's a lot of wood to knock on.
There you go.
I am driving a frickin' Jag! Man, that thing sounds tight. Get in. I'm amazing. Get in. Sorry. I had that locked so that the women just didn't flock into my truck. It's like a big World War II fighter plane. I feel like I'm about to like fight the Nazis. I feel like I'm in a Spitfire. Alright, she made it home, and now she won't start in the driveway, and I cannot find reverse anymore, even though reverse used to be super easy to select. So there's more stuff to fix, but overall...
I am shocked, I say.
It did move down the road.
It did, and it looked good. It looked pretty good.
It turned left, it turned right, it stopped, it accelerated kind of briskly. I am very, very happy with this thing so far.
You just scared the crap out of a chipmunk and it almost ran into your garage. He was like, oh gosh, what?
So I've been working on this thing this morning, and the reverse came right back and it started up fine, so I must have flooded it yesterday. I solved an oil leak. Now I'm looking at this thing right here, which is an air pump. This is smog era bullshit, and there's an intake right here and a tube that goes over the engine, and it shoves air into all the cylinders to try to help with emissions. Now that is stupid. So we're gonna try to remove all this BS and plug all those ports in the head. And we're gonna see how heavy this is. And as promised, there you go. So I'm saving 12 pounds-ish. And we're probably gonna gain a couple horsepower because we're not wasting it on this dumb pump. So this is going in the garbage. To plug the open holes we have in the head now, this is what you need to replace it. It's just 1/8 inch NPT male plugs. So brass, Allen key, we're gonna throw those in quick. So it's been a few days, got a lot going on with the Jag, redoing the fuel system, sort of, and doing the carbs. But I just wanted to show this quick before the battery dies. So we're just steaming the hell out of these wood strips, and we're gonna lay it on the roof of the Jag and weigh it down and let it dry out overnight, and it should conform to the roof. Oh man, that looks so much better on this side. This is all open now and you can actually see the exhaust manifold. Now it's time to do the most satisfying job on this entire car, which is to install those triple air filters. I had some issues with these air filters. I mean, they obviously do fit the carbs, but when you look at the fuel line and contacts that fuel line, I actually modeled these up in SolidWorks and got them produced out of a heat-resistant, fuel and oil-resistant plastic from Sen Cut Sen. Let's go install these because this is going to be so much bling. I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. All right, so first you need to see the exhaust now. Doesn't that look a lot better?
It does actually, yeah.
Yeah. Ready?
Should I cover my eyes?
Are you ready?
I don't know, am I? Ooh, look at that. Oh yeah, actually that looks really good.
I am so happy. So the fuel system is done. The other side of the engine is done. All we have left are these scuzzy ass valve covers. But look at that. That looks like
That's great.
This right here makes the car.
Yeah. that came together really well.
Oh my God. Yeah. Onward. So this is kind of awesome. It looks like I actually don't need to paint these. I cleaned them up and there was less corrosion in the channels than I thought. So you can see this one still has the corrosion on the exposed aluminum. I just spent a minute sanding this one and cleaned it up, and yeah, this looks great. So we're just gonna go ahead and do the same thing to this one right after I scrape off the rest of that decal. Alright, time to fix the headliner. Now there's nothing really wrong with this headliner other than it's not attached, but instead of pulling the whole interior apart, now we have these supports, which I think match actually pretty decently to the factory wood here. And we're just going to wedge those up equal distance from each other and it should look pretty nice. So let's do a time lapse. Nice. That's a huge improvement. I think I need to shim one of these a little bit just to get this to go up a little more, but yeah, this is looking great. Alright, it's been a minute. The last time I took this thing out, it broke down. Basically, the car quit running slowly. It just kind of seemed like it didn't have fuel. I pulled the line to the carbs and turned the key. Couldn't hear the fuel pump died. My guess is that this gas tank in here is pretty bad. This time I really wanted to try to use the big drain, but instead it just rounded because this big nut is brass. And there's no way to get a pipe wrench on this because the valence is here, and there's no way to remove the valence without removing the bumper. So it looks like we're gonna have to pull the bumper and then pull this rear valence, and then hopefully I can try to get a pipe wrench on this to see if I can crack that loose. I tried to use a pipe wrench on this and it just mangled that brass nut. So I had to use the hammer of persuasion. So I know there's some danger here, creating a spark and making things go boom, but we're just gonna send it. This is the fuel that drained out. I'm not sure if you can see the amount of sediment in there, but it's pretty bad. I actually let the fuel sit for a while, and then I pumped it in to my daily beater Insight with a fuel pump and fuel filter hooked up to a 12-volt battery. And I just kind of sucked out the top 3/4 of it. This stuff, I don't know what to do with it, so we're just gonna throw it into some sticks and burn it up later. I'm gonna go keep draining the rest of this tank, and then we're gonna throw a scope in there and see what the tank looks like. So when I scoped the fuel tank, it wasn't that rusty, and I'm trying to figure out why it failed in the first place. This is the little thing that's supposed to filter the fuel before it goes into the fuel pump. And as you can see, it's completely broken. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run that inline filter before the fuel pump, and then we're just not gonna have something like this in the tank. Because the tank is not that rusted, what I'm gonna try and do is we're gonna fill it up with vinegar and let it sit for a day and then see what comes out. All right, it's been a day. Time to pop this off and see how much rust that vinegar loosened up. Oh. So again, when I was flushing this, the fuel was pretty much clear, so that vinegar definitely loosened up a ton of rust. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this back in here, then we're gonna fill it up with some vinegar again and some baking soda to get that foamy action, and then we're gonna rinse it with water like crazy. All right, added a bunch of baking soda. Now we're gonna make the super volcano. All right, I scoped the inside of the tank with a camera. It looks pretty good. Got a new washer on this thing. Once I thread this thing in, we're gonna fill the gas tank up completely with gas with a little bit of 2-stroke oil. That way, as the gas gets sucked down, it's gonna leave a film of 2-stroke oil inside the tank, which should prevent it from rusting further. All right, I got the fuel system all redone with the filter in front of the pump, but I could not get the pump to prime. So what I did is I took a piece of rubber, put a hole in it, and then you can hold it against the filler here, get a nice seal, and then you can just take some compressed air and blow in it. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna pressurize the tank, forcing liquid through the lines into the pump, then the pump will get traction and it'll start pumping. Up front, because I didn't have all that water in the tank, what I did is I disconnected the fuel line to the carbs, and you can see how much water was pumped out of this just through the tank cleaning. The good news though is that the gasoline does look pretty clean. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna pump a little bit more out of here, make sure we don't have any water, and then we're gonna hook it up and see if this thing fires back up. It should, we'll see. So I turned the ignition on and pumped a few more of these. Look at that gas color now. That is pretty freaking clean. Welcome back to another episode of Wheel Wednesdays. In this episode, we're going to take the 1973 Jag and go check out a set of ARE 398. If they're a good deal, I'm going to snag them because I got a thing for wheels. So let's go. So the Jag just broke down yesterday, but I just put a new fuel pump in it and I've been soaking this tank. So this tank is almost ready to go. I'm running off of this tank because Jags have 2 fuel tanks for some reason. Just finished doing the 7-inch Euro headlight upgrade and the Euro taillight upgrade, so they've got amber on the top. But you can see I'm still running no bumper because I am servicing these fuel tanks. Let's take her for a rip. And I am so pleased with how this car drives. It doesn't feel like a floating boat because the wheelbase is sort of short, so it's got really long overhangs, which honestly kind of seems like it puts a lot of weight on all those wheels. I mean, I know it's still a big car, and my point is that it just drives like a little bit of a smaller car than it actually is. And it is really low for a sedan. Since I cleaned that fuel tank, the gauge sender is working now too, so now I have an accurate, hopefully, a representation of what's going on in the tank. You can see that all the other gauges are looking real normal. I mean, the car is driving great. Again, we're gonna knock on the copious amounts of wood in this very refined, gentlemanly interior. Man, it'd be amazing to do a road trip in this car. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep it long enough, but it is extremely comfortable. I really like driving it. Heyo! Look what I got, bitches. These are dope. Missing a center cap, but got a deal. So hopefully we can make it home. That was weak. Oh yeah, more wheels. Now, the ARE 398 is obviously a BBS RS copy. If you have them right next to each other, oh, whoa, look at this. There's a bunch of cool boats. Let's go check out some cool boats quick. Whoa. Is that a Pachanga? No, it's a Formula. What else we got over here? There's a Carlson. Looks like a CVX 18. Whoa, look at that. That looks like a fountain with like an outboard extension on the back of it. Oh, and there's an Eliminator. What? So much cool shit. It's a shame that all that cool stuff is just rotting. Maybe someone cool will buy it someday. Maybe if YouTube takes off, I can buy that place, and then I'll have an unlimited supply of shitbox boats. Anyway, what I was saying was, this is a cheaper copy of the BBS RS, but it's technically not a 3-piece wheel, it's a 2-piece wheel, because the lip and the barrel are welded together, and then the faces bolt on. Still a pretty awesome wheel, and they're affordable, they look good, I mean, why not? All right, there we go, one other set of wheels. Now I did mention that these are copies of the BBS RS. I want to show you guys the difference. So first off, look at the spacing of the bolts here, and now look at the real RS. The other thing that I've noticed, the actual pattern, the geometry of the spokes itself, if you look here, it's almost got like a flatter face and then smaller radii here. Whereas here, they're all completely rounded. All this stuff is rounded completely. There's no flat to any of these little spoke patterns. Other things like the center caps are not compatible, but you'll notice on the real one that this is like a machined finish, whereas on the AREs, it's just chrome. But overall, I mean, it's a pretty cool wheel. But the important thing is that the Jag made it back under its own power. We traveled 42 miles today. AO answered everything, and she ran great. The fuel pump is still working, and I don't see any other crap in the inline filter. Tomorrow we are going to be installing the other fuel pump and an inline filter, and then we will hopefully have twin tanks working on this bad boy. Then we can button it up, put the bumper back on, and see what we're going to do next. notice there is not a giant yellow 70s Jaguar in the garage right now, and that's because I got it going today. It was amazing. It drove incredible. I did burnouts all over the place, and it broke again. So right now it's about a mile down the road, and it's stranded. I did hitch a ride back here. I loaded the 911 up with tools and an extra fuel pump because I think that's the problem. So we're gonna go down the street and change the fuel pump in a parking lot and see how it goes. So yeah, I'm a little disappointed. The Jag was running absolutely incredible earlier today. We'll see if we can get it going. If not, I guess I'm gonna be coming back tomorrow morning, but I'm hoping it's just the fuel pump. What up, Jag? I don't hear anything coming from this fuel pump. There we go. All right, lots of gas. That's good. New fuel pump is installed, but what I want to do now is dump this filter. Running perfect. Guess it could have gone a lot worse. It was indeed the fuel pump, or the fuel filter just clogged. We'll see if that other fuel pump is still good when we get back. I'll show you guys why this car is awesome. This 4.2 liter inline six is just an absolute animal with triple carbs. I love it. Honestly, the chassis on this thing, oh my God, the ride is sublime. It handles kind of nice. I mean, this is a fantastic car. All right, we made it. XJ6 is back where it needs to be for now. All right, Lexi and I are gonna go on an adventure to pick up the 911. About 9 o'clock at night, and we're headed through the woods, but that's okay because we're in Wisconsin, so the farmers have killed all the natural predators. Yeah, it's a steep climb, isn't it? Looking pretty good for 16 though, Lexi. Every day I have with her now is a blessing. All right, we got a tired puppers here, and we got back to the car, and then we're gonna head home. Always a freaking adventure. Stay tuned for next time. Later, dudes. All right, Lex?